Do you have any thoughts on what disciplines someone can use to improve their decision-making skills as a leader, not only in keeping clarity of thought during high-pressure situations and environments, but also in making the correct decisions when it is vital?
Okay, so we talked about this last week. You have to learn to detach. And how do you learn to detach? You learn to detach by putting yourself in stressful situations and then observing how you react. So, good stressful situations to put yourself in. Well, what makes you stressed? One thing that will make everyone stressed, especially when they first start, is start with jiu-jitsu. That's gonna put you in stressful environments. Look at sports. What are you gonna do? Put yourself in stressful positions in sports. What else makes you stress? Public speaking, right? Public speaking makes some people really stressed out. Start doing it more. What about competition shooting, where you've gotta, or hunting, where you've got to do something in a stressful environment, or archery. I started archery recently.
You did?
Yeah. And so that's one of those things where you got to learn to detach. You got to learn to pay attention to things that are going on. If you're all caught up in the moment, then you're going to miss it. So that's number one. If you want to learn to deal with stress, put yourself in stressful situations that are under some kind of control. Even something like paintball. We do gigs at Echelon Front where we put people through what we call FTXs, where you go out and you're going to fire. We usually use airsoft because it's a little easier to work with. But actually what we started using now is we've got these high-end laser tag guns. And so that's what we use, and they are super effective. They're awesome. They're awesome training tools. Like if we would have had them, if they would have existed when I was in the SEAL teams, I would have used them then because they're that good. So we use those and we put people in stressful situations. Go hit this target. There's bad guys. There's, people are going to get shot. There's people yelling. Put yourself in stressful situations and learn to detach. Put yourself in stressful situations with the purpose of learning to detach and stepping back mentally to figure out what's going on. Okay, that's first part. Next part is, how do we make good decisions? Well, number one, making correct decisions. You got to study. You got to know and understand. You got to know the background. You've got to know the historical outcomes of equivalent type decisions that have happened in the past, similar situations. And if you know the history and you know the background, then you can use those to assess the current situation you're in. And then once you assess the decisions that you can make, assess the possible actions that you can take, and then assess the outcomes that those decisions will have. Those actions will have. And when you're doing that, you also have to assess the possibilities of inaction. So a lot of times people forget that one. They don't know if they should do A or B. What they forget is there's also, what if I don't do either? What's going to happen? Sometimes not doing either is good. A lot of times not doing either is bad. So you got A or B. What should you do? Maybe sometimes you got to pick A or B. Sometimes, occasionally, it's better not to do anything, and you wait and let the situation develop a little bit more. So the point of this is, whatever you can know beforehand, you learn, you study, you understand, you know the standard operating procedures, you know what variations have been made on the standard operating procedures, and that's how you go forward and you execute. Now, the thing that you have to remember is that you can't know everything beforehand, which is why it goes back to study and practice detaching and making decisions. So now let me dig into detaching a little bit. Let's actually break that down. Maybe some mechanical steps that you can use. Number one, step back. Right? Literally, physically take a step back from the situation that you're in and move your head and look around. So when we used to shoot, they would teach us to scan. Like, you would have to physically move your head. And what that is, it's a mental reminder that you need to look around and assess what's happening. So once you've taken a step off the line, whether that's taking a step back from the table when you're in a meeting, if you're a firefighter and there's a fire happening, take a step back so you can see the bigger picture. If you're in a cop and there's a shootout happening, where can you go to step back, get some cover, and look around and see what's actually happening? If you're in a conversation with someone, stop talking. If there's an argument going on, stop talking, take a step back and actually listen to all the other elements that are shouting and yelling at each other. If there's a decision that needs to be made in a planning situation, step back from the plan. Don't just take a step back from it. Look at it more broadly. So that's step number one, is to step back. Number two, then you're going to come up with, hey, what are the possible decisions that I can make? I could go this way. I could go A, B, C, D. I could do any one of these things. Keep an open mind. This is the problem some people have, is they come up with 2 decisions, 3 decisions, and they don't think about anything else. So you kind of have to like repeatedly detach. You kind of have to stay detached. That's why it's good. You throw out an idea, like if we're planning for something and I come up with 3 ideas, I say, Echo, what do you think of these? I give them to you, then I step back again. I keep my mind open. So that's why the more you can get your subordinates to plan, the better off you're going to be. The more you can get the people below you in the chain of command to come up with an idea or come up with the ideas, the better off you're going to be, because you're not embroiled in it. You're de facto detached because you're letting them run with it. Then, okay, once you look at your decisions, then you got to look at what the possible outcomes are. What are the possible things that can happen? How bad could this go? Risk versus reward. You got to weigh those things out, and you got to do it fairly quickly. And again, you got to figure out what's the result or possible outcome for inaction, and then you just weigh out these various options that you've created, and you figure which outcome has the most, which one makes the most sense. That's what's good. And like I said, inaction is, some people like any action is better than no action. Not always true. Not always true. Sometimes you can learn more by letting things develop and letting things reveal what the status is. So that does make sense, and sometimes you do hold off. If you can see that a problem is getting worse, though, well, then we got to do something. Then generally, okay, let's make some kind of a decision very quickly. Now, one of the most important things to remember, and there's a little dichotomy to this, is that you don't always have to make giant decisions. You don't always have to make the all powerful decision of might. You know, it's like, do we go or do we not go? You don't always have to say we go.
Right.
Sometimes you can go, well, let's push a little further. Let's move a little bit further before we make that decision. Or, hey, let's stay where we are and see if it develops. Or let's back up a little bit and keep watching. So instead of we go or we don't go, there's actually a bunch of different decisions that you can make besides we can go or don't go. There's a building, there's a bad guy in it, let's go or let's not go. No, actually, let's put eyes on the target for a little while. Let's call and see if there's any other intelligence. Let's put an aircraft overhead. There's all kinds of decisions that you can make. Let's push a little bit closer. Let's stage. Let's monitor. So there's all kinds of decisions that you can make that allow the situation to develop further and maybe reveal the proper decision to you in the long run. So my fear of saying that is that people get paralyzed. What is it? Analyze the analysis paralysis. That's my fear about saying that, because the dichotomy is you can sit around and analyze and figure out and look at something for forever, while the situation changes and now you lose. So yes, you don't have to make giant decisions, but at the same time, you got to be decisive. There's a dichotomy. I'm sorry. Leadership is not easy. Wrote a whole book about it. Dichotomy of leadership. Why? Because that's what happens. So there you go. That's my assessment of how you can improve your decision-making skills. Experience goes a long way.
Yes. Yeah, it's one of those deals, kind of when you were talking about the results versus the method, right? Decision making. Sometimes like the result, actually both method and results, kind of the value isn't even in the results. It's like you haven't getting that experience going through it. You know, it'll improve your decision making.
True. Yeah.
That experience.
Anytime you can be in a situation where you're making decisions and getting experience at it, you're going to get better at it.
Yeah. Kind of the value in role playing.
That is a value. That's why we do a lot of role playing at Echelon.
Kind of like a little thing.
And people might think like, oh, how does that work? Come and get it. Come and get it. I watch people all the time totally improve as leaders, because put them through a role play scenario as a leader, where they're going up against a combative subordinate, or a subordinate that's lazy, or a subordinate that's angry, or a subordinate that wants to leave. Like you put a person role playing in those situations over and over again, and they get so much better. 3 iterations. And people are exponentially better at handling situations.
Yeah, because it's like Most of the time anyway, it's just a matter of them like never seen it before. And then,
sure.
when it's during game time, it's kind of like you got to make the decision super fast. So you can't analyze. But in the role playing situation, you can analyze, you can do whatever, and then learn it.
No, that's a great point. I actually should have brought that up. That's a great point. Is another way that you can get better at making decisions by role playing. For sure. Give yourself the options. Set yourself up a pressure situation and have people role play it out with you of what you're going to do.
Yeah, so it's kind of like mock experience.
That's really. Basically, it is mock experience. That's basically what SEAL training, well, not the basic SEAL training, but the SEAL training that I ran, that's basically what it was. We're going to have people act like bad guys and you're going to make decisions all day long. That's a role play.
Yeah.
Get some.
Yeah.
Check.
Like remember, and again, going back to like just seeing it once, right? Just seeing it one time is way bigger difference than compared with never seeing it all versus seeing it once. The difference between that is way bigger than seeing it like twice versus once.
Yeah.
If you've seen it once, it's kind of like, okay, now, it's like night and day.
It's night and day. The difference between knowledge and like
no knowledge
is crazy.
Yeah.
And we see that over and over and over again.
Like on Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. You ever seen that one?
I'm pretty sure. Wait, how old is that one? I saw that series when it came out. Connery. I was a kid. I think I seen it.
So at the end, they go through.
I had to have seen
the things, right? They're like these booby traps, right? To get the Holy Grail. That's what they're doing.
Oh, then I've seen this one because the guy's face melts, right?
No, that's Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, okay.
When they open the Ark.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta shut your eyes.
Yeah.
It's old school. Anyway, no, this one they have to go through these these tests or whatever. They're booby traps to get to the Holy Grail, and one of them was you have to kneel. Only the penitent man will pass. That's what it says in the Grail diary, which is Indiana Jones' dad's diary that he took all the notes in. And so he's like, oh, you got to interpret that, right? So they had all these people. There were bad guys there too. So they just send someone in there, and then the guy'd go in. And his head gets chopped off. So you go in there, hey, that blade is going to come chop off my head because I seen that one guy get his head chopped off. I'm just going to duck. Just one time, that's all you got to know.
Yeah.
The blade's going to come out, I'll duck.
Good point. Thanks, Indy.
Granted, there was more booby traps. And you kind of got to refer to the Grail diary for the answers. Subject to interpretation, by the way. But same deal. You see the point, though, right? If you walk through a hallway,
I get it. Yes,
and you see the guy get his head chopped off, okay, I better duck now.
Yeah, you best duck.
Yeah.
Yep, I get it. Thank you.
One time.